Welcome back to D.R.I.V.E.N TV, here where we're helping you to elevate your success and step into your greatness. This season, we continue our conversation with the power of art. But today, we're doing a very special episode. Today, we recognize one of our very special community lights. His name was Mujahid D.R.I.V.E.N. He was a leader, a brother, a cousin, a very special friend, a son, and very powerful in our community. In 2015, Mujahid, shortly after we met, actually assisted me in a short film that we made in reference to my book, I Heard Chicago Crying Outcry. This was against gun violence and hate crimes. And we wanted to deliver a message that showed the impacts that gun violence has in the community, in the children, and in the families, everyone that it touches. So at this time, I want to share with you our artistry through film and show you the devout leader that he was and the power and influence he had with people. So give us a moment as we take a look at Prince, I Heard.
The sea have come in and left. Brother Prince has come into our lives and left us also. Oh God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. Thou art the mighty and the powerful. O God, guide me, protect me, make of me a shining lamp and a brilliant star. So today, here's kind of a beautiful day, but it also is kind of a sad day in my heart. I just wanted to let you know that one of my friends that I grew up with, he died recently. And we wanted to get together today and remember him and to make sure we never forget him and keep him in our heart. Does anybody else have anybody that they know that has left the planet or has left their body? Really interesting when we lose somebody that's really old, because that's what life is, right? Life, you live, and then when you get old enough, your body stops working so much, so your spirit can go away. But guess how old Prince was when he died? Yep, he was 20 years old. And so is that a full life? 20 years? 20 years? No. Do you want to live past 20 years? Yes. Yeah. And so one of the things we want to do today is really start to think about what is going on when there's people that we love being killed and taken away and they're so young. Does that make sense that they're being killed? No? Do y'all want it to stop? Yes? All right. So let's get in a circle and let's just start remembering. There's a song right here I want to teach y'all, and it's helpful for remembering people that have been lost. So hop up for a second.
Whew. A little hard to watch, but powerful. It just shows you the voice and the connection that Mujahid D.R.I.V.E.N, our loving brother in the community and our community activist that spoke for generations. He represented so much in our community. And unfortunately, he was taken from us early as well. But that doesn't mean anything. As he said in our video, his spirit lives on, and it's up to us to continue his legacy. I have with us today someone to share on that wonderful legacy that he had. Miss Rajeeyah Mujahid of the Sounds of R.B.M., also known as Sister Soldier. And she's going to tell us a little bit about her connection with Mujahid and how beautiful of a person he was.
Well, I met my brother about 2 years ago, and matter of fact, and that's when I met you a couple of years ago, and such a very inspirational thing to me to have known my brother, because he was strong-willed, he was determined, and I decided to do an award to give him in the trenches, Sister Soldier in the trenches, and I felt this brother, he was a hard worker, fighting for injustice, not only to us people, but people, period. And that's what I love about him. He loved the drums, and we drummed together many times. And he always called me Queen, Mama, Queen. And I love my brother. He was such a special brother. And it's heartbreaking to me to see that he had to leave so early. But the work does goes on.
That's right.
It goes on.
That's right. And I think that's something that's very important. You know, Mujahid was someone that light and love follows wherever he went. He touched on the hearts and minds of others. And I think it's important you brought up that connection. You know, a lot of the relationships that I have here, even though I'm from Charleston, but coming back home and getting back involved in the community, those connections, you know, the focal point was Mujahid. You know, Moya actually connected us.
Yes.
I remember the first time we physically met was in the library at a Black Lives Matter meeting, and then the next thing you know, he just approached me and asked me to join him for the Selma viewing.
Yes.
So I had a poem that I had written, and he wanted me to perform. And as much as I've been in front of a crowd, I was sweating bullets when we got there because I realized the theater was packed, and then we had Senator Ronald Kempson there, and who had sponsored the theater, and I was terrified. You were outside with your drum,
my drum,
and he connected us.
Yes.
And we've been connected ever since. Yes. I remember going up there and I did my poem, and the next thing I know, he's right next to me playing the drums, and we just got so passionate about what we were doing. Nothing else mattered. What mattered was the message and the people that it touched.
Yes.
And our relationship didn't end there. It was the beginning of so much more and so many other connections that he helped make. Yes. And he continued to do that in the community. I mean, he's such a beautiful person. He's touched the hearts of many. Yes. I know he worked a lot in the community with myself. We actually gathered drums together, and we would go on the playgrounds and play the drums with the children in the neighborhood, and their families would come. I mean, we literally, his energy was so powerful. I remember being in a circle one time. Yes. We were in a drum circle, and we were playing a game with the children, and we had some adults come up, and there was a gentleman. He was an elder, and he had such great advice, but you know, he didn't look at him, and he found this gentle way. I call him, you know, that gentle heart, that gentle talk of letting you know you might have been doing something wrong and how to do it better. He let him know that he appreciated his wisdom that he shared, and we encouraged him to continue to share that sober. The next drum circle, that gentleman, and every circle after that was sober when he came. Yeah. And he was not offended. He was grateful. And that's just the kind of power and influence that he had and continues to have. I feel like his light has now just spread out into the earth. Yes. And his legacy will continue to live on. Yes, it will. And for those of you who don't know Mujahid about how, I mean, from the connections that he made, for example, through the two of us, the children, the lives that he's touched, his community programs that he designed and created, the selfless individual that he was, anybody here in the community, you will see it speak for itself. I think his actions spoke louder than any words can bear. And there'll be a lot of people that are trying to paint an ugly picture of him, but that certainly isn't who or what he was. He was definitely a hero in my book. Oh, yes. He leapt for justice in many ways, not just with the Confederate flag. There's so much more to him and his story than just that. There was much more before, and there's so much more that will continue after. Yes, and I think just like in the video with Prince I Heard, it's important to him that we stop the killing of each other, killing of us being killed, but just in general, there's got to be another way than with guns. There's got to be another way than with death and bloodshed and heartache. There's got to be other ways that we can resolve our issue. Oh, yes. And for anybody that knew him, the drum was definitely a voice. Yes. I mean, I remember seeing this guy carry drums on a bike. I still cannot figure out logically how he could have a drum on one shoulder, drum under his arm, and pedaling on his bike. It didn't matter what he was doing, but he would find a way to take that drum into a community if it would just keep a couple of people off of the street. If it would give us a safe space for just a moment to start a conversation. If he didn't have a drum, he had his flute. That's right. Even if he had it parted up in the braids where he had that fluting somewhere and his drum somewhere else. And he's just a very powerful person. Well, you know, Ms. Rajeeyah, if there was anything that you think he would want to say or you would want to say to him, what would it be?
What I would like to say to him is that he's a brother that is well missed. He's a brother that came to teach us something to carry forward. He's a brother that if he said he's going to be there, he's going to be there. Right. And the last Stop the Violence that we did, he got everybody involved with the drumming. He's just a unity person. He brought everybody together. And I love that about him. And I want to say thank you. Thank you, my brother. I've known you. It was short, but it was sweet. Something I would carry on for the rest of my life, knowing that a young brother like you stood up against the bad wolves here in Charleston and elsewhere that you traveled. They only took away your body, but they didn't take away your soul. For your soul carries on. And it lives within us. The example that all the young folks here need to stand up, rise up against injustice, start with self and with others. That's what I love to tell them.
That's right. And I know you brought today something very special that you wanted to share with us and dedicate to Mujahid. So we would like to give you at this time a chance to share that with us as well.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rajeeyah, for sharing that with us. And I'm sure that Mujahid is surrounding us right now. And I know he's banging on his drum and playing his flute, because he will continue. His work will continue through us. And the love and passion he shared with so many will continue. I feel it already.
Yes,
and I know he shared it with my daughter. He's known her since the time when she started taking her first steps. And he just had this special relationship like with her and so many others. And we thank you, and we will continue. When we come back, we have two other young ladies that shared quite a journey with him, and they're going to share their experiences and give their love and their impression of the wonderful life that Mujahid Baha was and continues to be. Thank you.